Why is Zelensky still alive? I still don't understand. Why is Yermak still alive? I still don't get it. Why is censored Budanov still alive? Putin has sent Trump on a peace mission. We would like to transition to resolving all issues through peaceful means. There was a factory strike, and it's located behind me. Civilian infrastructure. Meanwhile, Russian occupiers face major problems. In the Pokrovsk direction, they've been encircled. To eliminate the Dobropillia salient, the Kyiv regime has deployed additional forces, including nationalist Azov formations. This is breaking news and everything important in one digest. Please like this episode. We create this project thanks to your support. Propagandists have launched a verbal assault on the Ukrainian president, accusing him of personally eliminating Russian propagandists and war correspondents. Are you scared? Zelensky ordered the killing of Dasha Dugina. Zelensky ordered Vladlen's assassination. Zelensky gave this order and turned the army into a gathering of cannibals. Do they want to put us in the same room? Do they want to tell us we'll stop distinguishing between good and evil from this moment? Andrei, this penetrates me so deeply. I simply cannot imagine footage of our president, the great Vladimir Putin, entering the same room with this. I can't find words. I'm convinced he should have been killed long ago. Even Zakharova has frightened Zelensky. He probably appears in her nightmares, chasing her with an axe. And this is just perfect. Russian authorities shouldn't feel safe. Zelensky, who cannot fail to understand what he has done to his country and that he will be forever inscribed in its history and in the history of many other countries and world history as a monster. Propagandists are pulling their hair out, screaming that they don't understand why this great and mighty Russia cannot do anything to Ukrainian authorities. Why is Zelensky alive? I still don't understand. Why is Yermak alive? I still don't understand. Why is censored Budanov still alive? It's very simple. Putin is afraid to attack Ukrainian political figures because he understands this would untie our hands, and then we would definitely reach them all, including you. Putin sent Trump with his peace initiatives while ordering massive missile strikes on Ukraine. But you understand, in Alaska, he was mumbling about how Russia wants peace. Of course, we respect the position of the American administration, which sees the need for the earliest cessation of hostilities. Well, we would also like that transition. We would like to transition to resolving all issues through peaceful means. But we already know Moscow's mole always lies. So now Putin strikes Ukraine with missiles and even hit an American enterprise, simply because he can and thinks nothing will happen to him. This was a factory located behind me. This is civilian infrastructure where household appliances were manufactured. Foreign investment. Unfortunately, 2 Caliber-type missiles hit this factory today at 5:40 a.m. As a result, we have 12 factory workers who were injured and hospitalized, 2 in critical condition. Meanwhile, propagandists like Kornikov call Putin the world's main peacemaker. Here is our president, Vladimir Vladimirovich, the main peacemaker of recent history, President Putin. Once again, this is the main peacemaker. Not Trump, who ends wars, but Putin, who does everything so they don't happen. And he must enter the same room with the absolute embodiment of evil. Yes, according to propagandists, Zelensky is the real embodiment of evil. Listen, Kornikov, they say if you cover yourself with a blanket, monsters won't touch you. So cover yourself and don't go on air. Russian propagandists love telling viewers about cauldrons. But this time there's a nuance. Russians themselves are in the cauldron. Ukraine's defense forces repelled a Russian attack on Dobropillia and encircled Russians in this direction. Even Russian military blogger Rybar drew this. Skabiva lies about victories, but even in her words, you can sense that things aren't going so well for Russians at the front. In the Pokrovsk direction, there's an assault on the western part of Vladimirka and encirclement of Shakov village to eliminate the Dobropillia salient. The Kyiv regime threw additional forces into battle, including Azov nationalist formations. However, the Russian group is increasing presence to hold conquered positions. Kyiv sources claim flanks are stabilized and problems arose exclusively due to Russian troop numbers, allegedly 100,000. And now all these 100,000 are encircled. Interesting strategy you have there. Medvedev issued a new scandalous statement, targeting France this time. Interestingly, they haven't received anything from the French yet. Friends, we have a statement from Security Council Deputy Chairman Dmitry Medvedev. First, he declared today that Russia will not accept any NATO troops in Ukraine under the guise of peacekeepers. And he addressed Macron, the French president. The brainless Gallic rooster cannot abandon the idea of sending troops to Ukraine. It's funny, but it seems only propagandists read Medvedev's social media. Trump and Medvedev himself, when he looks hungover at what he did yesterday, it was clearly stated, no NATO troops as peacekeepers. Russia will not accept such security guarantees. But the hoarse, pathetic rooster continues crowing to prove he's the master of the henhouse. We'll pass along to Macron that you barely felt the missiles, and Scalp and Storm Shadow will have to be repeated, additionally probing your military bases. Just don't cry later that you're being bombed for nothing. Russian propagandists will be imprisoned for content against Putin. They wanted to make a patriotic video about SMO heroes, but instead created a video about the stupidity of the Kremlin regime that unleashed a war destroying Russia. Our Putin got involved in this war. So many people died. So they wouldn't come to you. Yes, of course, we should have developed the economy in due time. They wouldn't come to your yard? Yes, they wouldn't come to the yard. But people were laid down. Would have laid down more. See how propagandists try convincing people that Ukrainians are supposedly very evil and would attack so-called Russia. But people don't believe them because to believe this, you'd need to be an idiot. Or Skabiva, do you also have someone who died? Yes, my nephew is fighting in the SMO now. He was wounded. He says, it's a drone war. We talked with him. He says, it's a drone war. He says we haven't seen a single Ukrainian in all our fighting. Not one. Drones are flying there. He says, the sky is full of this stuff. Dropping mines. We said Russians would start whining heavily about Ukrainian drones. That's how it turned out. And you won't believe it, but boys in underwear aren't even getting underwear issued anymore. They have to buy their own. He was also wounded. This blessed thing saved him. They bought body armor and helmets with their own money because what they were issued could be pierced with a nail. That's how it is. They need people, but nobody needs them. Everything they bought with their own money. And these fragments cut him up. The great and mighty Russian army cannot provide for its own soldiers it sends to slaughter. Why? Because Vladimir Putin doesn't need them. He needs them to die for his interests. And helmets would only interfere. Guys brought humanitarian aid to Russian drone operators and decided to film a video report. For the Morgo Regiment, for the troops of oral care, we're filming delivery of target assistance to the UAV battalion of the Kursk Brigade. Location, Defense Base Vision. We have camouflage nets, summer camouflage suits, and multicam uniform sets. You watch the video and already understand what's wrong. That's right. In the footage, they completely revealed the military unit's location. That same day, a strike hit there. Now Russian war correspondents are screaming hysterically that volunteers killed Russian drone operators for likes. Such a story. Occupiers conducted flight tests of their newest Altius drone in Kazan. Something terrible happened. We think you've already guessed what happened next. Yes, it fell on a residential building. Their own against their own. There's the beauty. This new Russian drone weighs 5 tons and can fly up to 10,000 kilometers. Rumor has it, it can even carry missiles. The manufacturers reported it simply got the coordinates wrong. If only it made such a mistake and hit some oil refinery. I broke vodka because of your kefir. Typical atmosphere in Russia. Solovyev's viewers oppose healthy nutrition, obviously against fermented dairy products. What do you have here? I broke vodka because of your kefir. Because of your kefir. Typical Putin's Russia. Broke vodka. But of course, kefir is to blame. Probably Biden and Trump are also guilty. Maybe even Obama. Who was the founder of ATB? It's Obama. Trump. Number Obama and Biden. Understand? Obama, Trump, and Biden. Russia is destroyed even without bombardments. Putin and his officials destroyed it. While Moscow lives lavishly and allocates colossal funds for war against Ukraine, this is how the only road connecting three Siberian regions looks: Omsk and Tyumen oblasts. These regions extract coal, gold, silver, platinum, and here they extract 70% of Russian oil and gas. It would seem with such resources, the region should prosper no worse than Moscow. But actually, one day of bombing Ukraine costs as much as a normal road in this region. But you know what? Putin correctly doesn't care. And Russians don't either. They like living this way. Who are we to stop them? Americans are poisoning Russians. All stores in Russia have long been American, and products are NATO's genetically modified bioweapons. Save yourselves who can. Now they've told everything. It turns out America makes all these stores and products because these Americans censored and Magnet. They said Magnet is also American now. And all products are made so that we buy and eat whatever palm oil there, so that... What concerns you? What complaints do you have? Well, people feel bad. Bad? No. What complaints do you have? Complaints against America are obvious. This is what 30 years of Putin's propaganda does to people. Only they seem to be shooting themselves in the foot. What will happen when these conspiratorial grandmothers want to unite and burn hostile GMOs? A Russian propagandist from the Russian Orthodox Church tells Russians about the difficult demographic situation while simultaneously calling to die with weapons in hand. Contradiction in logic? That's your logic. Some will die. Women will birth others. We'll overwhelm with hats or something else. A time has come when women won't birth anyone anymore. They've become dead, cowardly, depraved, and don't want to give birth. And we won't overwhelm anyone with hats. Such a rhetoric change. Remember the overwhelm with hats they screamed just 4 years ago? What happened? If we're overwhelming with hats, then India and China will overwhelm us all. Even if you give them half a hat each, they'll definitely overwhelm us with hats, but we won't. We're disappearing, decreasing in number, so we need to preserve our people. But preserve people from war, right? No, in war you must die, because Putin wants it. Protect people from senseless deaths, as happens among youth. These trained surfers risk their lives. They die for nothing. Better they went to the front. At the front, they'd die as soldiers with weapons in hand. Never mind that this very war made Russian demographics terrible. Together with 30 years of Putin's rule, Ukrainian trader Pavel Gubarev complains that Russia lost 1 million servicemen in the war. The collaborator confirmed Ukrainian General Staff data, while the Kremlin claims no losses. Look how many cities we've taken in these 3+ years. This is ridiculous. 3+ years. And I claim, this is my opinion, that over 1 million victims, killed, missing, and maimed, including those who died in hospitals. Moreover, now the propagandist and traitor sit together complaining it would have been better not to start the war at all. My personal opinion, starting the SMO in February 2022 was seriously late. I'd even say something akin to an adventure, or still, better late than never. Maybe even it was on time. Now I think that how it began, went, and goes, it would have been better not to start it at all, of course. What did you think? That you'd attack a foreign country, kill and rob peaceful civilians, and live and prosper yourselves? It doesn't work that way. So now sit by your broken trough with a black eye. That's all for today. Thank you for watching Breaking News. Please like, it's very important to us, and support the armed forces of Ukraine. The war continues.